Men, don't be trash. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Girlfriends with Girlfriends. My name is Ashley Chantrice, and I am here today with two of my best girlfriends. And like we said, every week we talk about a new episode of Girlfriends. We are on season 1. We are over the moon ecstatic that Girlfriends is on Netflix. Shout out to Mara Brock-Akil, Tracy Ellis Ross, Jill Marie Jones, Persia White, and the good friend of the show, the diva, Miss Golden Brooks. And Reggie Hayes, of course, a comedic genius. Shout out to the cast and crew. So let me introduce first and foremost my co-host. Can I talk today? Miss Prissy Missy. What's up, girl?
Hey, guys.
Brittany Jean Spears stan account. We just want to let you go.
This was her week, honey. Woo! And I was there. It was such a beautiful moment. Free Brittany.
Yes, real free Britney though. And last but certainly not least, we have the Ghanaian queen, Miss Mary Ando, looking like Debbie Allen on the cast of Fame, honey, with the slick ponytail, the dancers.
Yeah. Give me all 90s today with the hoops.
Yes, honey. Shout out to Joan Clayton because she loved a hoop earring, honey. Yes, she did. All right, well, let's get right into it. Shout out to everyone who's been rocking with us for this long. We are on episode 11 right now. Shout out to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed. Much love to all the Girlfriends fan pages on Instagram. We interact with them. It's just so amazing to have a community of people who love discussing Girlfriends, everything pertaining to the show. So every outfit on Girlfriends is amazing. All About Tracy is amazing. Girlfriends TV show is amazing. So shout out to all the Girlfriends fan pages who show us love on Instagram. And let's get right into it, because on episode 11, I'm going to just say this. We find out that Joan has a new boo. She's liking him. She's going on dates with him. Then we find out that this beautiful curly-haired woman comes into Joan's office and she says that she is Frank's wife. We find out that Frank is married. So I just want to know, has anyone either dealt with a married man or know someone who has dealt with a married man? And Mary, I know that you have not, but I'll start with you.
You know what's so crazy? And Priscilla knows the story because there was this guy that Priscilla and someone she knows hooked me up with, like, on a blind date one time. And then he told Priscilla and, her person, he was like, man, I need a good woman. I need someone that's just like, about her stuff. And so he and I went on a couple dates. It didn't work out. Because he was one of those dudes who was like, he was on his phone all through dinner. He asked me to take pictures of him for Instagram. He was just very, like, all about himself. And I talked to him about it. And I feel like some men don't like being, I don't even consider it criticized. I just feel like it's just courtesy, like a conversation, like, hey, this is kind of rude. And so he immediately stopped talking to me after I brought up the fact that, he was rude during dinner. Long story short, he ended up a couple months later going off to Ghana and getting married. And so I saw the engagement photos and I feel like it was a couple months later. So all along she had been with him. I guess he had been with her. So fast forward a few years later, we are at a party. This man's clearly married. Like, he's trying to talk to me again. And I told my friend, I'm like, she was like, oh, like, he said, he wants to talk to you. I'm like, girl, he is married. Like, he doesn't have a ring on his finger, but he is very clearly married. So she asks his friend, like, why is your friend on that if he's married? And his friend was like, oh, he's married? Like, I don't know. And I was like, So yes, this is a man bashing episode because men ain't shit and they don't deserve nice things.
Men deserve nothing because you're crazy. What I couldn't take, okay, I had a friend who dealt with a married man. She and I are no longer friends. And Curtis knows this story because we met her through the job that we were working at when we first met. So me and her became friends, or we started to be more friends like after I left that job. And this guy that she was dealing with was somebody that she knew from back home. She had known him for years. She had always dealt with him on and off while he was with his wife, while they were like boyfriend and girlfriend, like fiance, and then married. She told me that like she even like talked to him on his wedding day, like while you know they were getting ready, and he was just saying like, I wish I was there with you. Mind you, they got married. It was a destination wedding. It was like in Hawaii. And even after they got back, you know, he would come to LA because they lived back in the Midwest. I think she was from Michigan or Detroit or something. He would come to LA, like tell his wife he was on business, and they would meet at hotel rooms and they would go on dates. Like when he came out here, like that was his lady. But when he went home, he had like a whole wife. He had another kid from another relationship, and then they had a kid together. And what always baffled me about it was the fact that the wife, you know, was this gorgeous woman. Like she seemed so sweet and so in love with her husband, and her husband was posing in every picture and buying his wife things. But when he came out here, it was just a completely different situation and story. And I was just like, dude, you're so trash. Like you have literally two different lives. And then I remember one time, this was before I got my car, when I moved out here. I think I was going car shopping the next week. She called me because they were at a hotel together, and you know they did what they did, and he left to catch his flight back home. But she still had the hotel. Mind you, every time he came out here, it wasn't no cheap hotel they was staying in. Like he was booking the W and like these nice hotels or whatever. So I guess somehow she had on like a little like skimpy dress, you know, like when you have a small dress, it don't take much to ball up and put in your pocket. Somehow he accidentally put her dress in his pocket or his suitcase or something. And she called me like, Ashley, I don't have anything to wear. All I have is a robe that the hotel gave me. And I was like, I mean, if I had a car, I would come get you. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm so sorry. And y'all know I'm the least judgmental friend. Like, the fact that she was doing this, like, I don't know if it should have bothered me. It didn't, because I didn't know the other girl. I really didn't care. But that's not the reason why we stopped being friends. We just grew apart for some reason. But the fact that she was doing it never really, like, made me feel away. But now looking back as someone who is like preparing for marriage and like all of that, it's just kind of like, I don't know if I would be friends with her today. You know, does that make sense? If she were doing that, like if I was friends with her today, like I would probably say something to her instead of just like letting her shade his wife and say like, oh, little does she know she all on Instagram, happy with her husband, but he really with me. Like 25-year-old Ashley just kind of brushed that off, but 31-year-old Ashley would have been like, girl, like close your legs to married men. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not even me being judgmental. It's just more so on some like, girl, you deserve better than that, first of all. Second of all, it's just a messy situation. And like, what are you getting out of this? Like, what are you gaining from it? Like, do you want him to leave her? Do you want to just be taken care of? You know what I mean? So I definitely had a friend who dealt with the married man, and it was very messy. I don't know if his wife ever like found out, because from what I saw, like times when I did lurk on her page, because I just wanted to know, I'm like, do they have like this happy like facade? And truth be told, like it was just all him and her on her page. And I felt bad for her, because it's just like, he really used to come out here and spend mad bread on, you know, his side chick. And it's just like, if he's coming to LA and doing this, you know, he used to go to Atlanta all the time. I know he had a chick in Atlanta. And I've always wondered, like, what type of conscience do you have as a man, an adult male who took a vow? And first of all, you asked this woman to marry you. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all live together, y'all do all these things together, y'all share finances, and then you're able to sleep with other women and then come home and, you know, just kiss your wife in the face. Like, that has always baffled me. So Priscilla, I want to ask you, would you still be friends with one of your homegirls or your girlfriends who was actively dealing with a married man and seemingly did not care?
So I'm actually friends with someone that did deal with a married man.
Wait a damn minute.
What's interesting was that she wasn't like friends with his wife, but they were kind of like associates. But it was just weird because it's like the wife was in her face and they're like smiling and giggling, and the whole time sounding like, damn, like, girl, she with your man, you know what I'm saying? But just like you, like, I'm not judgmental, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you know, at the end of the day, like, does that make me a bad person? No, because I don't have loyalty to that woman. Like, I don't know that woman. She doesn't know me. And like, what does it do for me? Like, just to be like, hey, yo, like, my girl is like, you know, messing with your husband. It does nothing there. How would I don't know. I'm still friends with her. You know what I'm saying? I'm still friends with her. Like I said, at the end of the day, that's your karma. It might come back to bite you in ways that you know, you don't want it to. So for me, like, I'm still minding my business. And I think that's why, like, people be telling me stuff, because they know Prissy ain't gonna judge you. Prissy just gonna let you handle it. And, you know, God gonna handle that, you know, handle what comes for you. But yeah, I'm still friends. And I mean, she's a great person. But for me, like, when you are the other woman, like, what satisfaction do you get from that, right? Because do you expect him to leave his wife? If he was really going to leave his wife, and 99.9% of the time, these men do not leave their wives. Like, they can promise you and say, oh, I want to be with you. He's literally texting you on his wedding day. Don't you feel embarrassed? Like, damn, like, I'm not the one that he proposed to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't you feel like maybe something is just not right? Like, I would feel like I'm not good enough. And that's how you should feel. But for you to feel cocky because he's cheating on his wife, like, no, girl, like, you are not the wife. You know what I'm saying? You are the side person that he is hiding. People don't see the photos with you. They don't see that life with you. They're not celebrating you. You know what I'm saying? You're living in secrecy. But that's why he accidentally took her robe or whatever, her little lingerie or her dress, because God was like, you're not going to keep playing these kind of games, you know? And that's how he gets you sometimes. He sure do. And that's why she had to walk out with the robe. Well, we don't know if she did, but still.
I know that's right.
Oh, Priscilla with the word. No, I think you're absolutely right, because what I always say is God don't bless no mess. Okay. Like, God ain't in it. If he's not in it and he didn't ordain it and he don't condone, you know, it's not gonna. And I think this episode is interesting because we see the wife, Frank's wife, whatever her name was. She was beautiful, by the way. She was just a psychopath. We saw her really come after Joan. And it's just like, you come to this woman's office, like, you say you're gonna like beat her up and kill her. Like, you're downtown LA in a law firm. Like, why did you come down there to fight like Joan worked at Popeyes or something? Like, that's so ghetto, so déclassé.
You better lay low.
And it's just like, we see Frank's wife like really like just really go after Joan and like follow her and say like, I'm going to take a piece out of her like I took a piece out of this muffin. Like, you're going to bite her? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? And then she shows up to her house and all these things. So, Mary, how do we feel about the wife or the woman coming after the other woman once they find out what their man is doing?
I feel like it's classic. Like, we see it all the time in situations where the woman comes after the other woman. I don't even want to sit here and say that I wouldn't have that initial reaction as well. I think as women, like, we can be competitive and territorial over things that we love and people that we love, even though people are not property. That is something that, like, we need to take into consideration when we do react to things. Like, our significant others are not our property. So we're not animals in the wild where, you know, to survive, we need to, you know, tear down someone else. But we do see that. But for me, I would say, like, you're in the wrong if you're also not checking your man.
There's science and scientific proof. It's biology.
So if you're going to go after the woman, make sure you've had that conversation with your man first, because that's your home. There is something clearly wrong in your home where your man is out cheating. That doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means something's wrong with your man, and he's in your home. There's something wrong with y'all dynamic. So you need to check your man first. I'm in between, like, oh, don't come at the woman like she don't owe you anything. Like you were saying, actually, it's decency. It's just general decency to not knowingly, you know, mess with somebody's husband. For me, like, this is so funny, but, like, I know I was in college and I was talking to a guy that was back home at my high school who had a girlfriend. And I didn't think anything of it because I'm like, I'm just talking to him. Like, he don't care about his girlfriend. I don't care about his girlfriend. Like, if he don't care about her, you know. And so we were talking on the phone while I was at college. We would, like, go on dates when I would come back home from break. And, like, I knew he wasn't serious about her. But I remember one thing, and I know this is so flawed to think about, but for me, I felt like if I mess or I fuck a married man, that's like a black mark on my soul. Like Priscilla said, like, that is karma. Like, that is the karma I don't want, you know, because I do want to be in a happy marriage eventually. Like, I do want to have a happy home. And whether it's true or not, I just always felt like if they're married, like, that is above and beyond. Like, that's a vow that they took in the eyes of God. And if you want something similar, like, that's not the route you should take. But back to your question, I think we always see women going at women, and I'm like, okay, you know, if you want to approach the women afterward, fine, but you need to have that conversation with your man first and do what you need to do with that.
Absolutely, because what did she say in the episode? Like, once, you know, they tricked her and made it seem like he was there to buy Lynn's jewelry that she made from a pile of paper clips. Like, girl, who you think finna buy this? Shout out to Lynn though, because at least she was trying to do something. But yeah, she was like, Frank, you don't want to know what I thought you were doing again. And he was like, hey, I've changed. Like, so trash. My thing is, okay, husbands are off limits. They are. You don't mess with another woman's husband. Like, even if he comes at you and promises you diamonds and pearls and the sun and the moon and the stars, whatever. Boyfriends and baby daddies are a different story. Because sometimes your soulmate is somebody else's baby daddy, okay? And I'll just leave that where it is. And I just feel like I don't understand the whole, like, I'm gonna, you know, it's just, I feel like a lot of men feel inadequate in some way and they want to go out and, you know, fulfill whatever they feel like is missing in their marriage instead of communicating with their spouse about, like, what they need. Some men are just dogs and feel like they just want to sleep with multiple women. Like, you never really know unless that person is honest and takes accountability for why they do the things that they do. But I thought it was interesting the contrast between how Joan's reaction was when she found out that Frank was married, and Toni actively knowing or being told that he was married and not caring because he was giving her diamonds. You know what I'm saying? She's like, all I know is my boyfriend's name is Keith. And they, like, you know, ran around or whatever. But how do we feel, Priscilla, I'll start with you. How do we feel about the different reactions when Joan found out she was dating a married man and Toni not caring. Like, what does that say about the contrast in their personalities and their characters?
It just goes back to Toni just always thinking, you know, everything is about her, right? As long as she's good, that's all that matters. Like, she has just she's caring when it comes to like her friends and things like that. But at the end of the day, one thing about Toni is she's always gonna look out for Toni, you know, even if that's at the expense of someone else. Like, all that matters is Toni. And it's just interesting because, like I've said this before, I feel like Toni has like an only child personality, but she doesn't. I guess she has a brother or so. So it's just like very interesting because it's always like me. Like, the attention always has to be on her. Whereas Joan, you know, she is very like selfless. Like, she's always trying to help people out. Like, she actually genuinely cares about how people feel, even though sometimes she tries to insert herself into people's business where it does not matter. But there are people like that. There are people who knowingly know that they're in a relationship with someone who is in a relationship, whether they're married or they have a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. And then there's people like Joan who like find out, and it's like that literally crushes them because it's like, it's not their fault. But I can only imagine how Joan felt. Like, damn, like now I'm part of like this problem and it's not even like her fault. She just unfortunately ended up with this shitty guy, and then she already thinks that, you know, she can't find the perfect guy, and then she just keeps meeting all these shitty ass men. You know, it just adds to like, damn, what is wrong with me? Like, you start to question, like, is it me? Like, what is wrong with me? So it was just interesting to see. But one thing I do want to say is I actually thought that Frank's wife was Keith's wife. I thought they did a good job with that because I was getting confused too. Because remember at one point, because Toni was sleeping with Keith at Joan's place. So at one point they were saying, oh, that's probably Keith's wife. So I actually thought it was too. I'm like, damn, she threw that like tomato juice at him, and that's not even like, he convinced me. I'm like, that's not even his wife, Joan. Like, why did you ask the questions? But I thought that was really interesting for me. Like, it was kind of like, damn, like, that's like, whose wife is it, you know? But just to go back, that it was Frank's wife. So I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, I forgot about that because when Toni was in bed with the dude, that's also the dude that played Malcolm X in the other movie. Remember the guy? He played Malcolm X in one of those films. Fun fact, when I worked at AT&T, that guy came into my store and I helped him get a phone. And when he left, my coworkers was like, do you know who that is? Like, he looked familiar because that's the same dude from Players Club. Remember the dude that threw money at Diamond? He came into my store at AT&T and he was so nice. He had this old ass flip phone. And I'm like, bruh, like, I know you got money. Like, why you got this old ass phone? And he was like, honestly, I really don't care about technology. Like, can you help me like get this phone? But he was so cool. He's from East St. Louis. We had a whole conversation. And then when he left, my coworker was like, dude look familiar. And we looked him up and we was like, yo, that's the dude from Players Club. So anyway, he was like, Toni, I'm not married. And she was like, well, if you're not married, who's going after Joan? And then we find out that Frank actually is married. So yeah, Priscilla, you're right. They did do a good job with that because it was like this little switch up, this like mind game or whatever. But I think you're right. I think it does show that, you know, Toni just didn't care. Like, she wasn't out looking for a husband. Joan was, you know what I'm saying? Like, Joan looked at every man that she dated as her future husband. Toni looked at it as, okay, what piece of jewelry am I getting next? You know what I mean? And I think it just stayed true to their characters, you know, like Toni really didn't care. And then Joan was just so heartbroken because it, you know, it showed that, you know, even if you get married to a man, there's still a possibility that he may cheat on you.
I don't know how y'all do shit where you from, but let me tell you something. Where I'm from, we don't do shit like that.
First of all, y'all using Joan's house for sexcapades. Every single one of y'all like creeping in her house. Like, Lynn, you doing it too. Like, I don't understand. Like, I saw a meme that said like Joan's house was an Airbnb before Airbnbs existed. But her friends really just crossed boundaries with Joan, and this was one of the situations where I don't think she realized that, but I'm like, Joan, people are using your house as a sex house.
Because Toni was like, She, yeah, we've been using your house. His wife is crazy. Like, you fucking on my couch? Like, how dare you? So yeah, you're absolutely right. And then the fact that the wife really did have some screws loose, like you said, like you should never approach the woman in that way. Like, of course you want to know what she looked like, you know what I mean? And you might do your lurking or whatever, but the fact that she painted a red A on the door, like, girl, you taking it back to AP English high school. Like, why are you painting scarlet letters on people's houses? Don't touch my property, first and foremost. And then it was just like the fact that she was driving around, like following her, showing up to her job. It was just the absolute most. But I like the resolution. The fact that, you know, it was a funny moment when they all chased him. She said, the woman with the ring gets the first swing. And they all chased him out the door. And then at the end, it was like the wife actually left him. And, you know, maybe her and Joan didn't become friends, but it was just like, I think the resolution was great because it just shows that, yo, like, if these men are trash, let them be trash. Like, we don't need to be out here fighting each other, you know, coming at each other and, you know, over these men and whatnot. Like, you know, let them be a dog and put a billboard up with their face on it and say that they're a cheater, pumpkin eater.
Also feel that it kind of lets you know, like, look, there are people out there that deal with married men. Like, we see the gossip, like, it happens all the time. But if you're going to deal with a married man, you need to be prepared for what comes with it. Like, don't go into relationships with married men expecting, like you said, Ashley, or was it Priscilla, like, he's going to leave his wife. You know, some do, you know, they say some side chicks like get elevated, but it's also like, I also truly believe, and like maybe we can talk about this too, like how you get them is how you lose them, or it could be how, you know what I'm saying? So if you were doing some underhanded stuff and you get married, maybe your husband will change, but don't be surprised if he has a side chick as well and you started off as his side when he was married. Like, I'm not, like I said, this is a judgment-free zone. But if you're with married men, don't be crying about what's happening to you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, you signed up for it. When a man is married, you're going to sign up for, you better hope the wife's not crazy. You know what I'm saying? You're signed up for being hidden. You're going to sign up for not being, you know, able to show this man off. You're going to sign up for potential like phone calls, stalking you middle of the night. Like, that's what comes with it. So.
And people don't think about this too. Like, I do watch a lot of crime shows, and like, it's just so sad sometimes, like when the actual wife or the girlfriend actually gets killed because, you know, this side person becomes so obsessed. They think that they're going to be with you. You know, you're not thinking about how you're putting your partner's life in danger, and just people just don't think about the consequences of these things. You know, like, I'm just over here living my life. Like, there was one story, it was so sad.
It is a judgment-free zone. Like I said, I don't care what the next woman does with whatever. I just feel like there's certain energies and behaviors that I don't want around me because I don't condone them. And we'll just end it by saying this: close your legs to married men.
That was a gold quote. Like, Nene don't know what she did with that one. Like, close your legs to married men.
Close your legs to married men.
Excuse
you heard
me?
it? Close your legs to married men.
Wow,
you heard it.
Nene, is he legally married? You are absolutely right.
You heard it from
You're
me.
absolutely
Close
right.
Close your legs to married men.
Nene has quotes. Like, I know people, you know, talk about Nene's attitude, but Nene gave us a lot. Okay, Nene did. And
she's the star of the show. She was, and she was just herself. And I think that him and Sheree didn't like that. They felt like, oh, because we've always had more than Nene, we're gonna come on this, we're gonna be that. But Nene just came and she was more relatable. Like, I think a lot of Black women really related to her and like how she speaks and, you know, how fun she is.
It's not about putting on airs. And I feel like sometimes the Real Housewives franchise gets into that. Like, they get on TV and they have to be who, like, you know, that's not you. Like, the money gets into their head. Nene was the same from from jump, okay? No money is gonna change me, y'all. Before we wrap up, like in these situations, because we kind of touched on it last week about whether you tell, like obviously, like you weren't friends with that housewife, so like that's not something that you would do. But I've been in the club before in Chicago where I've seen, and this wasn't a friend, it was an acquaintance. I saw that acquaintance's someone that was close to her, her husband at the same club I was with a girl, like grinding on her. And I don't know why I get so shocked at stuff, but I was like, and the reason why I was like that is she was pregnant at the time. And I remember like seeing pictures and like them posting such a happy family. And then the husband in the club, like same situation, like younger girl, like grinding. And I literally was looking at him like, and obviously this person was an acquaintance. Like we were in no situation for me to be like, this is what I saw. I don't even know how to tell somebody that, especially when their close person is pregnant. So it's just like, for y'all, if y'all find yourselves in that situation, what do you do? Because I have found that in my friendships, when and this hasn't happened recently, this was more so like college and after, when I try to give that advice, like, oh, you deserve better, this is not the situation you should be in. If it's somebody that I know that's with someone who has a girlfriend or married, that feedback is not well received. You know what I'm saying? Like I have even lost a friend over the fact that I was just like, you are going down a terrible path with this man who is not single, you know? So I have found myself like not speaking anymore because I'm just like, I don't want to lose friendships over, like you said, behavior that I don't condone. I understand we've all had a messy situation, but I also feel like if I know you as a friend and I'm telling you like you deserve better, it's not even like, oh, you're doing something wrong. If you deserve someone who can take you out and like put you on that pedestal. So I don't know, depending on like when it comes to like marriage, what would y'all do? Because for me, I found myself in sticky situations when it comes to relationships. So I don't even speak anymore. I'm just like, okay. Unless it's like someone in my tight circle and it's never been, that's when I'm going to speak up. But I feel like for general friendships, I'm just like, I'm cool on it.
Acquaintances. Okay. Ooh, okay. Okay. Acquaintances, I probably wouldn't like initiate that conversation. I feel like depending on how disrespectful the guy was during the act that I saw, grinding in the club while your girl is at home, pregnant, wife or whatever, I would probably drop the dime to somebody I knew was close to her. Because that would make me feel away. Like, regardless if I'm really cool with this chick or not, like you being trash, and I don't like that, and I don't like you. So I'm gonna tell one of your wife's friends because I know they'll tell her. Of course, if it's my homegirl, I'm taking a selfie while he's doing it and I'm sending it to her. Like, don't care, don't be trash, and you wouldn't be in this situation. But an acquaintance, I feel like if it was just him like talking to a girl, maybe getting too close, flirting, I would feel away, but I wouldn't say anything. But grinding in a club, like, I'm gonna make sure the word gets back.
Like, I know you said you would take a picture and be like, yo, girl, like, I know Ashley chooses violence first.
I don't fight. I don't wrestle. I beat bitches up.
I do. And you know what? I'm sorry. I just gotta interject real quick with that thought. Y'all know Whitney, right? One of Whitney. So this was junior year of college. Y'all know the dude I was dealing with, complete trash, right? So
I think I remember this. I think I remember.
You do? Oh, cause we was at the point. So we were at a party and me and Whitney walked in. Of course we were intoxicated, but we still were aware. We weren't belligerent. So we saw the dude that I was dealing with, like, arm around some girl, bottle in his hand, like just making me look stupid at 20 years old. You know, Whitney goes over to them, pushes the girl, gets in his face and was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And y'all know how Whitney is. Like, Whitney's very, like, she speaks very clearly and properly, but when it came to me that day, she was like, oh, hell no. Like, she pushed the girl, and the girl was just looking, and I'm just sitting in the corner like, why is he always hurting my feelings?
Sorry.
Just stupid. So definitely, like, if that's like our friend, we're gonna interject. And Priscilla says that I choose violence. I feel like some situations call for violence. Like, don't have my friend fucked up. Don't be out here being disrespectful. Like, just don't. That's all the time we have for Girlfriends with Girlfriends. The moral of the show is close your legs to married men first and foremost. No, not first and foremost. First and foremost. That's second. First and foremost, men, don't be trash. Men, don't be trash. Women, close your legs to married men. And if not, at least make sure he puts you in a nice hotel and buys you jewelry.
Please.
The bare minimum. That's all the time we have today. Shout out to Prissy, Missy, and Mary Ando for joining us again today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think about it. Have you dealt with a married man? Have you ever had a girlfriend who dealt with a married man? How did you approach that situation? Were you a Toni or were you a Joan? Let us know in the down there. Be respectful. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Whoop, whoop.